Okay, we're going to go to twitter.com, Twitter, and sign up for an account. We're going to use the information that we just created for our Gmail account. I have to vary it just a little bit because I already created a Twitter account here. But you use the one that you just created if you did. Sign up for Twitter. I'm going to go slow here so we can kind of make sure we don't lose anybody. So everything is good. They will email you a confirmation to your email account that you'll have to click on to confirm this account, but you can do that later. Any username you want, again, think a little bit about it. And create your account. Now they run you through some introduction screens that we're going to try to just get around as quickly as we can. We'll click here and let's go. And the first thing they want you to do is select your interest areas so that they can start sending you the tweets from these different interest areas. Don't worry about the details. The easiest thing to do on this screen, leave these alone and hit continue. Now sometimes you're tempted to say, oh, I'm interested in this, in photography, so I think I'll click on it. But I've found that I need to keep things really separate. If I start getting my personal interests in with this factory farm effort, I sit down to work on factory farm stuff and I start reading photography reviews. So I would say keep this completely dedicated to your factory farm stuff. So here's the suggested Twitter accounts that they're thinking you're interested in. The easiest thing to do at this point is just click this follow button. Don't worry again about the details. We'll cover them in a bit. Here they want to search your email and find out who your friends are so that they can suggest that you invite them to Twitter, whatever. Easiest thing to do is go down to this corner here and skip this step. You can always add people later that you feel you want associated with that, your Twitter account. So that was pretty easy. Now we're getting our account set up here, and just very, very briefly, okay, you've got the number of tweets, in other words, how many times you have written something and sent it out into the Twitter sphere, the accounts or the people or the groups that you're following, okay, that means the folks who are tweeting and their tweets are showing up on your timeline. This is your timeline here on the right. And then the number of people that you're following or that are following you. Well, for some reason, this guy is following me. And I think he's somebody who follows, I think he's somebody who works at Twitter, right? So they're just trying to show you that people will eventually start following you, and certainly we in the group will all follow each other so we can stay informed with each other. If you want to follow Sergio, you just click the follow button, okay? We're going to go back to our home here, our home button. And you can see that let's see, they're making suggestions here on who to follow, right? Based on who you're already following. Well, my suggestion is that you go into following all of the people that you are following and unfollow them. The reason is because they're just distractions. I mean, even if we really care about the Washington Post, we don't want it necessarily in this particular account. So you have like, what, 38 things to run through here and unfollow all of them. So the status here is following. You click on it, you're going to unfollow them. You're no longer going to get tweets from these particular groups or individuals, right? So we're going to just unfollow all of these guys. I think we can get this done without boring everybody to death. You see, if you change your mind, you can go back and follow them too. So what we're doing is basically just kind of clearing our slate. We don't want to be following all these people. They're not related to what we're doing, and we don't want to be distracted by them. So we're going to go through and unfollow them all, even though it's a little tedious. Then we're going to go back to our home page. And we're going to see here now we're following no one. Okay? So who do we want to follow? Let's search up here in the corner, and let's search for Iowa pork. Okay? They'll suggest some people that we can follow that's associated with Iowa pork. I'm going to click on people, and we've got the Iowa pork producers. We'll follow them. The Iowa Pork Center. We'll follow them. This is a reporter for the Des Moines Register. Maybe, maybe not. This is the tourist board. Maybe, maybe not. Iowa Republican Party. Facts about pork. Whatever. Let's go. You can go down. You can follow, and end up following hundreds and hundreds of people. We could look at Iowa Farm Bureau. And here we've got some spokespeople for the Iowa Farm Bureau. I'm going to leave the young farmers alone. Iowa DNR is in there. Definitely going to follow them. And etc. Now, get creative here. Here's a economic development administrator with the Farm Bureau. Definitely I'm going to follow her, because that means that there's a fairly good chance that she will in turn follow me, right? So she'll get a little notice that says, hey, this guy, Jude, is following you suddenly, and her option is to turn around and follow me back, right? So if she follows me back, right, then we go back to our home page, and I'm going to compose a new tweet. You can see you have 140 characters, right, to compose it to. And whatever I write is going to show up on my timeline, but it's also going to show up on the timeline of anyone who's following me. And you can see already I have 9 people that are following me. Let's check and see who it is. Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong. That's the 9 people I am following, not who's following me. Sometimes there's automatic followers. Like if you follow them, they automatically follow you back. But that isn't the case here. So whatever I write, and you probably want to do something a little more creative than that, I can add a photograph to it here. And when I hit tweet, it sends it out to my timeline, right? And everybody who is following me, who are followers of me, will see this as well. So your goal is to get as many people following you that are important, relevant to this topic, following you, so that when you write something, they see it. That's why creating a really vitriolic type of username isn't going to get you anywhere. People won't follow you then, because they just don't want to hear it, basically. So, and the other important thing is these hashtags that I'm sure you've all heard of, and I'm going to show you how they work. Okay, I'm going to write hashtag real pig farming. Now this is a hashtag that the pork industry, the Pork Council, created to promote their perspective, their point of view, right? And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we get our point of view in this hashtag. So let me click on this now. You can see it popped up here, and you can see it's clickable. And now what we're going to do is look at everything that's been written with this hashtag in it, okay? Including the photographs. So here's someone named Caitlin Kaler, and she says, someone's excited for National Pork Month. And her hashtags are Burktober, I don't quite get that, real pig farming, and she's included a photograph here, an Instagram photograph, or apparently, guess she didn't. Photographs that have been tagged with this hashtag real pig farming, no spaces. Here's at real pig farming. We'll go over that in a minute. So these folks here, she's promoting National Pork Month, hashtag National Pork Month, at real pig farming, hashtag real pig farming. Okay, so this is a whole collection of people who have posted on their timelines with this hashtag. Here's somebody that says, I love bacon and cannot lie. Great. But here's, for instance, a very an influential person, Food Swine Iowa. And she says, some real pig farming infographics can be misleading and activist driven. Here's me. Here's my take, and we are pig farmers. Okay, and there is a photo here. So here's her propaganda, right? Here's her husband and her son. Foodandswine.com. It's cute. And this is what she's put on her timeline, September 30th, right? Now you can do some things here. You can reply to this if you want to. Down here, you can reply, right? If you hit reply, it will allow you to type something. You can see that this says @ we have the little @ sign here, foodswine.com. That means that you are going to post this directly to her timeline, even if she's not following you, regardless of whether she's following you. Anything you write here will show up on her timeline. And anything that shows up on her timeline, her followers will also see. Okay? So you want to be pretty careful about that. You know, you don't want to be putting something that's going to discredit you. You don't want to be putting something that's, that's aggressively rude or anything like that. As a matter of fact, this person I would leave alone entirely because she has nothing to do with our problem, except for maybe just read her because I believe she's either paid by the Iowa pork producers or she's working with them as an unpaid influencer of the food industry in Iowa. But I wouldn't. I mean, unless she engaged you personally on something you posted, I wouldn't say anything to her because there's no point in it. So the other things you can do is retweet. If, for instance, I post something that shows up on your timeline because you're following me, it's great if you would retweet it because that means all the people that are following you get a chance to see it too, right? And clicking it as a favorite also makes it more prominent, I guess, in maybe search returns, I think. So if you see something from somebody else that is worth retweeting, do it. Replying to it is helpful. And and clicking it, making it a favorite is helpful. You can do that indiscriminately. You don't have to be real careful about it. If it's coming from one of us in this group and we'll all get to know each other, retweet it. Make sure that it's favorited. Reply to it. Whatever you can do to make it more prominent in this sort of Twitter sphere. Okay. So that's the hashtags. Discover we can worry about later. It's not a big deal. And me means basically, who are you? When you post something on here about the pork industry, there will be people who will want to know who you are, what your point of view is, where you live, where you're coming from, why you're posting that stuff. There's people who monitor this all the time in all of the industries that we're concerned with. So you can, this is it, edit profile here. Fill out as much of this as you want, but keep in mind who's going to be reading it. Who's your audience? Who are you trying to talk to here? Those are the people who you want in mind when you fill this stuff out. You can leave it blank too. I don't know if it's necessarily a good idea. I would put Iowa as a location, somewhere in Iowa, either where you live or the nearest big city, for instance, and then save your changes here. So people, and obviously if you want to add a picture, you just click here, find one on your hard drive and load it. It's very straightforward. I'll be glad to help. And there's other details about your settings that you can worry about later. I mean, most of them are not important, like lists, etc. The one thing you might want to do is connect your Twitter account to your Facebook account so that everything you post on Twitter is also posted on Facebook. That just cuts down on the amount of work you have to do. Now here's some other, because of who we've chose to follow, we're getting suggestions here. Agri News, I would definitely follow him. Terry Branstad, yeah, I mean, follow him. It's not worth anything. He doesn't sit down in the morning with a cup of coffee and read his tweets, but somebody in his campaign does. Folks, Travel Iowa, I would, because these influence hog confinements influence tourism in Iowa. So anyway, that's just a brief overview of Twitter. I hope it's not that confusing. I think we need to get started with it, and I think we can always get better as we go on. The important thing is to get in there and get started, and learn, and we'll learn as we go. You don't have to be perfect before you start. You can just get in, get started, ask questions of me or of our other people in the group. We'll start working together and we'll see what we can get done. I think you'll be surprised at what we can accomplish. Thanks. Bye.